What's the funniest thing you've seen a Karen get arrested for? I work at a grocery store in suburban Ohio, and last summer we had this customer who came in every single week to complain about something different. Let's call her Linda, because that was actually her name, and she made sure everyone knew it. Linda was one of those people who demanded to speak to the manager about everything. The bananas were too green, the shopping carts squeaked, the parking lot lines were painted crooked. You name it, Linda had a problem with it. But the thing that really set Linda off was our self-checkout machines. She refused to use them, said they were stealing jobs from hardworking Americans, which would be fine, except she'd stand next to them lecturing other customers about how they were ruining society. Most people just ignored her, but Linda was persistent. She'd follow shoppers around the store explaining why they should use the regular checkout lines instead. She had this whole speech memorized about corporate greed and the decline of customer service. Our manager Kevin had talked to Linda multiple times about leaving other customers alone. She'd agree to stop, then be right back at it the next week. Kevin was getting frustrated, but Linda technically wasn't breaking any laws. That changed on a busy Saturday in July. I was working the customer service desk when I heard this commotion coming from the self-checkout area. Linda was having what looked like a full meltdown next to machine number 3. Apparently, she'd seen this teenage girl scanning items and decided to intervene. But instead of just talking, Linda had physically grabbed the scanner out of the girl's hand to prevent her from using it. The teenager, her name was Emma, was just trying to buy some snacks before going to the movies with friends. She had no idea what was happening when this random woman started yelling at her about supporting local jobs. Linda was holding the scanner above her head like it was some kind of trophy, shouting at everyone in the self-checkout area. "This is what's wrong with America. These machines are destroying communities." Emma was crying at this point, completely overwhelmed. Her friends were trying to calm her down while Linda continued her lecture about corporate responsibility and the importance of human interaction. Kevin came rushing over and asked Linda to give back the scanner and leave the store immediately. Linda refused, said she was making an important point and wouldn't be silenced by corporate lackeys. That's when things got really weird. Linda decided the best way to protest our self-checkout machines was to disable all of them. She started yanking cords out of the wall, pressing random buttons, and trying to tip over the card readers. She managed to shut down 3 machines before Kevin could stop her. But Linda wasn't done. She grabbed a handful of shopping bags from the dispenser and started throwing them in the air, screaming about how grocery stores used to have real customer service. The whole produce section could hear her at this point. Kids were staring, elderly customers were confused, and everyone was pulling out their phones to record what was happening. Kevin called mall security, but Linda saw them coming and decided to make her grand finale. She climbed on top of self-checkout machine number 4 and started what she called a sit-in protest for American workers. She was up there for maybe 2 minutes, holding a banana like a microphone, giving this passionate speech about the good old days when grocery clerks knew your name and bagged your groceries with care. The problem was, Linda was wearing flip-flops and the top of the machine was smooth plastic. She lost her footing during a particularly dramatic gesture and slid right off, landing in a display of potato chip bags. Security helped her up, but Linda was beyond reason at this point. She started throwing bags of chips at the self-checkout screens, claiming she was liberating them from digital oppression. That's when Kevin had no choice but to call the actual police. Officer Martinez showed up about 10 minutes later to find Linda sitting cross-legged in front of the self-checkout area, refusing to move until we agreed to remove all the machines and hire more cashiers. She'd built a little fortress out of shopping carts and was singing what sounded like protest songs from the 1960s. Customers were having to walk around her to get their groceries scanned. The officer tried reasoning with Linda for about 15 minutes, explained that she was trespassing, that damaging store property was a crime, that she needed to leave peacefully or face arrest. Linda's response was to link arms with 2 shopping carts and start chanting, "We shall overcome," while staring directly at the security cameras. Officer Martinez had seen enough weird stuff in his career, but this was apparently a first for him too. He looked at Kevin, looked at Linda surrounded by her cart fortress, and just shook his head. "Ma'am, you're under arrest for criminal mischief, trespassing, and disturbing the peace." Linda went completely limp when he tried to handcuff her, claiming it was peaceful resistance. It took 3 people to carry her out to the police car while she shouted about corporate tyranny and the death of human dignity. The funniest part was her mugshot made the local news that night. Linda, with her hair completely messed up from the chip bag incident, glaring at the camera like she'd been arrested for fighting injustice instead of having a meltdown over grocery store technology. She got community service and a permanent ban from our store. Last I heard, she was protesting the automated car wash across town, claiming it was putting hardworking teenagers out of work. But our self-checkout machines are still there, and nobody's tried to build a shopping cart fortress around them since.